Hello, friends, and welcome to Service of Change's Changecast, your podcast for change. I'm your host, Dennis Nappy II, with Service of Change, where small changes among the masses can have a massive impact around the world. The holiday season is officially among us. Thanksgiving will be tomorrow, Thursday, followed by Black Friday, where all the crazy shopping will begin. I'm here tonight with my esteemed co-host, Joel the Provocateur Schaefer. We're going to talk about it this evening, but first, Joel, how are you tonight, buddy?
I'm doing well. I'm trying to stay warm in this cold front that just descended on us.
It is so cold up here in the Poconos today too. I was freezing all day. I worked from home today. I was in the basement, just freezing, absolutely freezing.
And then if you turn on the heat, then you get assaulted with the bill later.
Yeah, my wife and I have been using our fireplace, so
Nice.
that's been making a big difference. But the fireplace is upstairs, and my office is downstairs. So upstairs was nice and warm for most of the day, but downstairs I was wearing like 5 layers. I had to have my thermals on today just to sit in the basement. But where was it? New York. For our listeners out there, we're recording a week early for our holiday show, so it's actually the 19th of November right now. In case it's warm next Wednesday, I don't know what the weather's going to be, but we're recording a week ahead of time because we have holiday and family commitments and stuff. But we still want to be able to bring a show to you guys consistently each week. But today I saw in the on the internet the snowstorm that hit New York. Did you see those images, Joel?
Yeah, where they would open their door and it was
Yeah,
like
it was
ten
over the
foot
door.
tall. Yeah,
Yeah.
10 foot tall.
What do you do? What do you do when the snow's over your door? I,
Jesus.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine. I saw the guy had sliders, and the snow burst through the sliders and came in the house. Like, that's it. It's over when that happens. You know?
And it was weird because only a few miles north, in actual northern part of Buffalo, there was only like a couple inches, but it's the
That,
lake effect snow was
that's
in
what
the
I heard.
southern part. Yeah, so there was
Yeah.
like a huge difference between just two like areas that are close to each other.
Wow. Nature's a wonderful, wonderfully crazy creature, isn't it?
It is.
Wow. So tonight we want to talk about the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday and and Black Friday. First of all, do you have any exciting plans for the holiday, Joel?
I'm gonna watch the Eagles. That's the that's horrible. That's the first thing that came to my mind.
That's the
But
Delco standard.
it is. I think we're going to my sister's families, and then I'm going to get my daughter after she's done her Thanksgiving. So she's going to spend a couple days with us, and I have off the next day because we're actually
Nice.
dead at the pizza shop on Black Friday because most people are eating their leftovers and shopping.
Right, right, and or sleeping.
Yeah. So how about you?
I'm looking forward to it. I have my in-laws are coming up on Thanksgiving, well, real early Thanksgiving morning, and we're just gonna hang out at the house and have turkey and stuff. It's our first Thanksgiving, in the house as a married couple and stuff. So it's gonna be nice. I think my wife, it's her first time cooking a turkey. So my mom's actually, she lives right down the road, so she's coming over Wednesday night, and they're gonna prepare the turkey, get everything ready, and then Thursday, I think both moms and my wife are gonna be getting everything ready. So I look forward to eating. I plan on wearing some comfortable pants with an elastic band, so I can just eat and eat and eat all day long, and not have to worry about feeling uncomfortable at the end of the day.
That's what it's all about. It sounds like you're going to create some wonderful memories.
I think so. Hey, speaking of memories, it has nothing to do with anything, but I'm sitting at work. I shouldn't even tell this story. I'm sitting at work, and I get a video message from my wife, and I'm sorry, I'm laughing. It was so funny, and all it said was "Oh my God." So I'm like, all right, what's this gonna be? And I open it up, and the video's playing, and in the center of the room you see my armchair, and out of nowhere you see just this white streak running 1,000 miles an hour around the chair. You can't see it because it's blurry, but my son had nothing on but his boots and was just doing lap after lap after lap around the chair. He's 2 years old, so it was pretty funny to see the funny things that kids do when they're running around the house.
Yeah,
So
I think if a kid doesn't run around naked at some point, then then there's something wrong. Where
Yeah.
I think that's the rule.
Well, we're in the process of potty training him. So when he's practicing getting ready to do the potty, he doesn't we don't put any pants on him. So he just
Mm.
walks around and he loves to wear his boots. So he'll put his snow boots on and we'll keep the toilet, in the living room where we're sitting and he'll just walk around the room and play and eat his breakfast, watch TV, walk over to the potty, he sits on it, he pees, we praise him and then he gets up and he runs around some more. We spent like 4 hours one day with him just without his pants on, just running around the living room. That's the joys of parenthood, I guess, right there.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
it's a neat experience. So, just want to real quick before we jump into the bulk of our show, since I'm done, embarrassing my son if he ever listens to this show when he's a little bit older. Um, ways that you can reach out to our show. We're really thankful to our listeners, and we're trying to make this show as available as possible. So we definitely got this steady set up now on Google Hangouts. So all of our shows are going to be streamed. We're now doing live shows, with the exception of this one, which is pre-recorded because of the holiday. But our shows are live. It looks like Thursday nights around 9:15, for the most part, are going to be our night to do our live broadcast, where our listeners can interact with us through the chat windows and stuff. And you can either go to the YouTube link or go to the Google link, and you can if you want to interact and chat. Otherwise, we'll put the link up at serviceofchange.com, and you can actually watch it right from Service of Change, right there live as the show's going on. So we're really excited about that feature. And as always, once the show's over and we put it into the podcast format, you can get it from serviceofchange.com, where you can stream it, you can download it, save it to your phone. You can get it through iTunes if you have an Android. You get it through an RSS feed. And of course, if you have the Service of Change app, go to serviceofchange.com. Click the top banner up there, and once it opens up in your mobile device, just save that to your home screen. It creates a little icon on your home screen, and you have the app really. And that podcast is right there under ChangeCasts available for you. So a lot of ways to get the show. So I think we're definitely growing in a good direction, Joel.
I agree.
Always so much going on, man. Always so much that's going on. But it's good. It's good to stay busy. I'm getting really excited. Speaking of staying busy, I've been talking with Lori Latimer quite a bit. Her book is now. It looks like the formatting is done. All the nitty gritties of the interior of the book are complete. So we're working on the cover and putting some plans into place for promoting it once we want to release the book and stuff. Probably sometime early in the new year is what we're looking at. But it's a really inspiring, book of all her haikus that she does every Tuesday for us. So I'm excited for that for her. It's a great project.
Yeah, sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be good stuff. So let's jump into our show and let's just talk about Thanksgiving. I know there's a lot of controversy about the Thanksgiving holiday. Last year, really, it kicked off where stores decided they were going to open on Thanksgiving evening. Some stores as early as 6 o'clock, pulling people away from their families to give discounts and deals to people that wanted to go out and shop. And I don't know about you, Joel, but that absolutely disgusts me. It's a disgusting thing that a store is so desperate to make a dollar. And not only the store, but the people that have to go out and buy something on that holiday. There's no excuse for that. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think if everybody was voluntarily participating, it would be a different story. So therefore, if all the employees were like, "Yeah, I'm willing to work on Thanksgiving. I don't. Maybe I'll have my dinner early," or and their employer was willing to pay them, overtime or holiday pay, that would be a different story. I think the problem becomes morally when workers are forced, because
Mm-hmm.
if they don't come in, what's going to happen? Is there going to be some kind of discipline from their retailer? Because on the other hand, if it's just people voluntarily doing it, I can aesthetically not like that and not want to participate, but it's really not my problem. You know what I mean? That's just them, that person choosing to be a consumer rather than enjoy the holiday. Does that make sense?
It does. It makes perfect sense. I get it. I guess I've thought a lot about this last year, and I look at holistically at the whole issue, coming from the perspective of, let's say, an inner city teacher, and you have a lot of students who have maybe a single parent family. So am I saying that right? Yeah,
Yeah.
one parent family, and so a lot of times that parent works in the retail business, so that child is coming home from school at the end of the day, and they don't get to see mom. they're coming home and they're on their own. So the holiday is that one time when they can expect I'm going to get to have dinner with my mom. I'm going to be around my family, and be a part of that beautiful thing during the holiday. Well, if mom happens to have a retail job and that retail says, "Hey, we're open and you need to work," that's taking one more little bit of normalcy away from a family. I think the structure of the American family has been broken down so terribly, and I think situations like this are a major contributor to that. And I think that's a contributing factor to so many of the problems that we see in our society today.
I agree. I agree. And like Brian Barr had said something in our last podcast about corporations don't have any obligation to provide us with a way of life. And I think that that's right on the money in terms of this type of thing, that a good small business owner or even a good corporation is going to want to encourage the best in their workforce. They're actually going to want to have workers who get time to spend with their family. But I guess in this competitive marketplace, Black Friday is when a lot of retailers finally, that's why it's called the black, they finally get into the black. They're no longer in red because it comes from that old practice of writing the debts in red and the assets in black, I guess. So that's when they get into the black, which means that their profits have exceeded their outlays, so their expenses.
Yeah, no, and I get it with the Black Friday, and I want to get into some stuff on Black Friday, but I still want to focus on the fact
Black
that
Thursday.
yeah, now they're pushing it. And number one, for people that my wife used to love going shopping on Black Friday, but now when you're doing it on Thursday, well, that takes away from the excitement of it. Now I don't find it exciting at all. I hate shopping and I can't stand crowds, but I respect the fact that some people enjoy that thrill of I'm going to go out and get a good deal today. I'm going to have to get up really early, but that's what you do, and it's fun for certain people. That's great. But now I think that's been ruined with this stay open on Thanksgiving now. And like I said, you mentioned that the corporations. You're right. They don't have a responsibility to provide. How did you word that?
Well, Brian has said that they don't have a responsibility to provide like a livelihood for folks, but I was extending that to include they don't necessarily see it as their responsibility to contribute or foster like a good home environment or even good psychological or social conditions for their employees.
And it shouldn't. And see, and that's a problem for me. Like it's not their responsibility to create, I guess, a good home life, but I was always brought up as a leader, you take care of your troops.
Well, you shouldn't be detracting from it, I think is the
Right.
point.
Right.
It's not that they have to provide it, but now they're coming in and they're actually
That's what
taking
I was
from it.
thinking. Yes, you
Yeah.
said it much better than I ever could have. You're absolutely right, and that's a huge problem because they're bullying people, and it's making a major impact on our society. But I am very pleased to see that more retailers this year than last year that I saw are closing their doors on Thanksgiving, and I think that's a huge benefit. You know, and I got to give credit to it's all about the shopper too, though. For those that are saying, I'm just going to stay home. Props to you, man. That's how, to me, that's what small changes among the masses can have a massive impact around the world means. Yeah, you may go out and get a great deal for yourself, but it's because of you who goes out shopping on Thanksgiving, that causes that employee who has to be taken away from their kids and their family to have to work that night. So if you stay home one night and just enjoy your turkey, that's all you have to do is stay home and eat and relax, then people can spend time with their families. That is the easiest small change you can possibly ever do. And I just spilled water everywhere, but the show will go on. Let's keep going.
Well, while you clean that up, I'll read a list of some major retailers who are going to be closed on
Awesome.
Thanksgiving. American Girl, BJ's Wholesale Club, Burlington, Costco, Crate and Barrel, Dillard's, Gordman's, Home Goods, Joann Fabric and Craft Stores, Marshalls, Nordstrom, Pier 1 Imports, Publix, REI, Sierra Trading Post, and TJ Maxx.
Not bad. And there are stores that I support. I definitely support those stores. I've shopped in a lot of those stores, to include Joann's Fabrics actually. So, hey man, like I'm that guy that like if I see something that I like but it's really expensive, I figure out a way to make it. So
Oh, definitely.
I have been to Joann's Fabric to try to. I don't even know what it was now, but I know years ago I was there because I wanted them. I had something in my head like, oh, I want to make that instead of buying it. You know, dude, I swear, I told you I'm having an off night. I get the freaking dope award tonight. I'm sitting here trying to clean up this water that's all over my desk right now, and I'm going, oh, I have nothing. So I have a pair of gloves sitting here, a pair of old army wool gloves. It's doing nothing but moving the water around all over my desk. Soaked. I have a desk calendar. Soaked it. I soaked some of the mail that was sitting on my. I mean, it's a total disaster right now, right? And I literally look a foot to my left, just next to my computer, and there's a whole roll of paper towels. So, could have saved me a lot of ruined stuff if I would have noticed those paper towels that have been sitting here for about a year.
Well, you have a good
My bad.
attitude about it.
That's only because I'm on
Don't
the air.
cry over spilled water.
Yeah, I wouldn't be crying. Otherwise, I'd probably be cursing and screaming and throwing stuff. So, and look at that. Paper towels work a lot better than wool gloves. Go figure. And now my gloves are wet and I can't wear them. They're the fingerless gloves because my basement's cold, so I was actually wearing them. So, oh well, that's what I get, I guess, for multitasking and being a little out of it tonight.
So, on the other hand, the stores that are going to be open
There
are
we go. Let's hear it. Shout it.
Walmart is going to be open,
What a surprise.
Target's going to be open, Best Buy, and these ones are sneaky. They haven't released their hours, but they were open last Thanksgiving, so that's an indication that they're probably going to be open this Thanksgiving, which is
Mm-hmm.
J.C. Penney, Toys R Us, and Kohl's.
J.C. Penney. Oh, I worked there for years, man.
Well, they're
That's
struggling.
disappointing. They've been dude. I was there back. I think I left Penny's maybe in 2002. I would go back and like when I needed work when I was between jobs, I'd always go to work for Penny's. I worked for their loss prevention department, and I think 2002 was the last I was there. And they were struggling back then, man. They're always struggling. Wow, that's a shame. That's disappointing that they're going that route.
Well, that's what I wanted to like talk about. Like, I don't know if it's quite playing the devil's advocate, but um, I think because I know when I was talking about Black Friday, you were like, let's bring it back to Black Thursday into
Uh-huh.
Thanksgiving. But what I instantly realized and seems obvious, but maybe it's not so obvious to people, is that a lot of these places look at it. The customers are only going to make one purchase of one type of item.
Yeah.
So if they can be open on Thanksgiving, they're going to go there and they're going to make their one and done purchase of that particular item. So in jockeying for the sale,
Mm-hmm.
they're using time as their advantage. So maybe they don't have to like cut the price lower than their competitor. They'll just have it available sooner than their competitor.
I get it. It makes sense,
Yeah.
but it's also to me that says that all your ethics went out the window. You know, there's certain lines you don't cross, and those lines have been crossed. I mean, what's next? They're going to be open on Christmas. You know,
Yeah, no, that's a
and
good
that's a
point.
whole other debate with people going back and forth with what you should and shouldn't do on Christmas, and you know, I'm not even going to get into that one right. It frustrates me because again, I think sense of moral responsibility. You know, obviously it's bottom line, which I get. You know, as a business owner, I get it. Have that level of decency, and if agree to that, hey, we're not going to cross this line again. We're going to go back to being ladies and gentlemen like we used to be. But it's all going out the window.
I wonder if there could be a movement started to, or at least you could have a few heroes. Now, I wouldn't want them to martyr themselves, but I'm looking at it also from the angle of the workers themselves. What would happen if they called out sick or just refused to work? And then
Dude,
if they got disciplined, maybe they could shame their employer by putting the discipline out on the internet.
I said I think this was one of my first I ever did. It was within the top five, first five I did last year was about this very time. You know, with social media, it is to organize something now without your employer finding through private messages. Get involved, talk to your employers, and organize a strike. If you think it's ridiculous, you have to giving. Get in touch with everybody you work with and say, you know what, we're going to win. Period. He can't fire all of us. The boss are all by people. And that scenario happened. It was a guy that worked for one of the big banks. Was it Wells Fargo? I don't think it was Wells Fargo. One of the big banks. And this guy sent an email to the CEO, and he copied the entire company, like a couple thousand people. And he was like, "Hey, I'd like a $10,000 raise. I've been working here. I have a degree. I've been working here for 10 years, and I'm still making like $11 an hour. Yet you got this $3 million bonus." Like he just went in, he laid into the guy, and he put him on blast. I think that was pretty awesome. I don't know if anything really came of it, but he got the ball rolling. I just don't think anybody followed him. And you gotta, when somebody stands up like that, have their back, man. Definitely stand behind them, because it's going to benefit everybody in the end, except for, obviously the man on top. But if your employees are happy, they work harder for you, and in the end, your company will do better anyway.
Absolutely,
Did,
absolutely.
did you hear about that one?
I did. I did. I saw some pushback against it where they said, well, he needs better skills, or but I think that's kind of a side issue. I think the tactic, rather than what his complaint was, the
Right,
tactic itself is more what we're focusing on now, where
right,
he was able to to use the visibility of what
right.
he did, against the guy, because he probably didn't get in trouble.
I don't know. I mean, that would be really bad PR if he did get in trouble for it.
Exactly.
But it was smart on his point, because he's bringing to light a legitimate issue. Our workers are underpaid. And in the United States, I'll give you, we're still doing better than a lot of other countries, but we're still not doing well enough. You can't argue that there's a gross, um, was it misappropriation or misdistribution of wealth. The top 1% have what percentage of all the money in the United States? Something like 97% of all the money.
Something,
It's
yeah. I think it might be a little lower than that. I think it might be the top 10% have 90%, but I
but the
think the
top
top
1%.
1% has like 50%.
Yeah, it's insane. It's
And then the
absolutely
top
insane.
1% out of the 1% have like 50% or 90% of that 50% or something like that. Like, um, I saw something really interesting though, where a lot of the focus on this is on the government, and how the government, if they just if they taxed these people the right way and gave the money back to people, that would be the answer, and perhaps. But what I found was, I was looking at a meme of somebody I don't quite disagree, I don't quite agree with, and so I wanted to fact check it, because this guy often uh, gets things wrong or misleads people. And it was talking about Verizon's corporate tax rates.
Hmm.
Verizon doesn't pay any taxes.
Yeah,
None.
I believe it. Yeah.
None whatsoever. And the reason why they don't pay any taxes is because the government has exempted them from taxes.
Uh huh.
So there are people that are paying lots of taxes. Rich individuals who aren't necessarily part of these corporations that have special deals, they're paying lots of taxes. But
Right.
then here and there, you get these different people that are able to evade taxes, and
Get
so
these
you have a
breaks.
total, yeah, you have a total cluster F situation where the tax code just doesn't make any sense. So to trust the government to reform it is something that I worry about, and also to blame it all on, like, sometimes there's wealthy. I know we're getting off the topic, but sometimes there's kind of like anti-wealthy person bias, where it's like, oh, those rich people, they're all
Right.
bad and all that, and I don't agree. I think it's a little more complicated than that, but
It definitely is. And the last thing I'll say is I agree with you. They should not be giving those. I mean, those tax breaks. Who was it? Corbett cut X amount of millions of dollars out of the school budget, and then gave the equal amount of a tax break to a corporation or some oil company in Pennsylvania
yeah.
last year. So we could go on forever about that. But let's move into, actually, before we go any further, let's go ahead and take our break real quick, and then we'll be right back after this. And welcome back to Service of Change's Changecast, your podcast for change. Joel and I were talking about Thanksgiving and corporations or forcing their employees to work on Thanksgiving and pulling people away from their families, and just kind of discussing what we could do about it. And I want to focus now on Black Friday. It has become a dangerous day to go out and shop, and I think it's very unfortunate. I guarantee on that evening you're going to see the news footage and the Facebook videos of people fighting and people getting assaulted, just because they're waiting in line to get an electronic item.
Yeah, and I think the thing about that is that it shows a lot of hypocrisy in on the part of most Americans, and that the way they look at themselves. Often these same people will look at themselves as being people who have class and have morality and have ethics, but then they act like an animal, or that's actually insulting to animals. They act like an addict. They act like they're fiends that are looking for a fix. And in this
Hmm.
case, their fix is a consumer good,
Hmm.
and it's disgusting. And it'd be different if they didn't, if they were just like, listen, I'm a person. I just like to make myself feel good. I like to buy things. I'm all about myself. I'm selfish. I don't care. That would be honest. But we tend to think of ourselves. We talk about ourselves, and we talk about our country, and we talk about our values. We talk about America is the moral beacon for the rest of the world. Like, you hear the
Hmm.
politicians talk about that, and we do have a lot of good values here, and people flock here for opportunity, and we do have like a good constitution, and we have a history of like helping other countries. But then you have this discrepancy here in how people behave and how the corporations almost like encourage it. It's like, yeah, we want you acting
Yep.
like a mob riot. We want you rioting outside our store.
Yep. You're right. The corporations in these stores, they set it up so that it's going to go that way. That they promote it that way, and they allow it to happen, which is just an absolutely horrible thing. And Black Friday, like I said, my wife was telling me, because I was getting down on Black Friday a couple of years ago. I was like, yeah, it's disgusting. Who would ever go out, and like really just hating on people that shop on Black Friday. And my wife looked at me and she said, I love going shopping on Black Friday. She says, I've done it every year. I go out with my sisters, and we plan out where we're gonna go. We get our deals. We get to enjoy, I don't know, getting takeout food that day or whatever it was that they do, and they have a good time, and get start off the Christmas season. That's what a lot of people do, and like, it's an American tradition,
Hmm.
and it gave me a different perspective on it, because what I see, because I don't take part in that just because I don't like crowds. I just see the madness, which is played all over, and I think now that madness has taken over for people like my wife and her family, who just used to like to go out and shop, and maybe they would jog down the aisle to get there ahead of somebody. But now you got people pushing, shoving. I think people were getting shot last year over what? Over a stereo, an iPod. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a all or nothing phenomenon. I used to be against consumerism in general, but once again, like you, like I can't necessarily impose my tastes and my preferences onto everybody else. I mean, objects and things are useful and they bring people
Hmm.
joy, and then giving them to other people gives people joy too.
Right.
So it's not that the phenomenon is bad in of itself, but it's like what are we doing around the edges of it, and like what is it becoming, and like what does it reveal? What does it reveal about the people who are participating in it?
Hmm. Well, I mean, certain things bring out the worst in people, and they may not be bad people, but sometimes when you're put into a certain situation, morality goes out the window because you get caught up. It's mob mentality, Joel. It's
Yeah.
not, you get caught up in that collective consciousness of everybody just doing that mad rush and that energy. You see it. I mean, that's why they call it the mob mentality. You see it when people are rioting and stuff too. I mean, it's exactly what's going on. So, you know, keeping in the spirit of service of change, I want to cover, I guess, two areas. Number one, what you can do if you're out there on Black Friday, how to avoid getting hurt, getting robbed, getting assaulted. Number one, and number two, um, what we can do to try to change this dynamic of all the danger and all the violence. And I think it might eventually fizzle out. or at least not be as intense as it is. Because I think people are starting to get tired of all this stuff. It's because it's not a special event anymore. But so let's talk about this. Do you have any recommendations, Joel, on what people can do if they're out there 4 o'clock in the morning and they're thinking, oh, things look like they're starting to get bad, and I'm right in the middle of this crowd. What do you think? What are your
Well,
thoughts?
I think it's interesting because there's this phenomenon called ego consistency, and ego consistency manifests itself, and when human beings commit to something, and in this case, would just be committing to waiting in line. Often, it's very difficult for them to give up on what the task that they've committed to. They want to see it through because there's a disappointment, there's a sense of it being anticlimactic, and I just thought of this. Normally, that concept is applied to how people get involved in cults, and even how people will stay in like bad relationships, because it's like it seems easier. People like to take the path of least resistance.
Yep.
It might seem easier to stay in a situation than to leave it. And what we do is we will revise our perception of reality to suit that, when the reality is we're just afraid to leave. So Jim Jones was this cult leader, and he started off getting people to come to his church.
Mm-hmm.
And then he started getting them to like not hang out with their friends as much, and like that was the first warning sign. But most people were like, "Well, I don't want to leave this church because now I don't have any friends to go back to because I listened to him."
Right.
And then he's like, "Well, sell your houses and give me your money," and then they did that because.
And they did.
And then he's like, "Let's move to South America." And by the time I got to South America, they're like, I lost my job, I sold my house, I have no friends. It was much easier for them to drink poison Kool-Aid than to actually, I don't even know how to get out of this jungle. So there's a similar, so don't be afraid to feel stupid to get out of line, I think would be the advice. Don't be afraid to be like, you know what, this night didn't work. And follow your fear. Like, I think me and you have that in common, Dennis, and it came from two different phenomena. Like, I got it in the streets. You got it, like, well, some of it was in the streets too, except you were a cop, where I can sense danger. And when people are like milling about, I don't like it. No. I'm like you. Like, I don't want to be anywhere near it because my fight or flight starts to kick in. And I don't want to start fighting people for no reason. You know what I mean? Like, I get, and so I just won't even go there. Like, I don't like crowds either. Like, I stay away because I know people, and people have this veneer of civilization, and not that I want to look bad at people. I don't want to be a pessimist about human nature. I'm a realist. Mm-hmm. So I know that there's somebody in there who could have a gun or could try to rob you or something like that. I know it's possible, whereas other people are like, we're all happy Americans waiting in line. We're at Target. We're at Walmart. They wouldn't let something like that happen to us.
Right. You're absolutely right. And I think that's a good piece of advice, and I work with my students with this all the time. I tell them, sometimes you just got to swallow your pride, or just take it on. You got to take it on the chin. You got to ask yourself, is this worth it? And if you can get that in your head, and I'm a big fan of. I talk about this in every one of my books. Mental role playing, pre-plan ahead. Ask yourself, what is my threshold? How am I going to talk myself into leaving? Because if X, Y, Z happens, I need to know. All right, I'm out of here. For some people, for me, it might be the second I get shoved, I'm done. I'm walking, or somebody gets loud and people start bumping each other. I'm leaving. I'm getting out of there. You need to have a plan ahead of time of what you're going to do, and if a riot breaks out, you need to be standing wherever you are. You need to be scanning. Where's my exits? What can I hide behind? How can I get away from a stampede effect? What can I do? Because these things happen, and they are happening, If somebody grabs something that's in your hands, what are you going to do? Are you going to fight, or are you just going to let go? Is it worth them pulling a knife and stabbing you? I mean, that happens. So think about this stuff ahead of time. Hopefully you're not putting yourselves in situations where, in those environments where this is going to happen, but who knows nowadays on Black Friday? I mean, this is happening at Best Buys, at Walmarts, at Targets. It's where everybody goes. So, some of our listeners out there. So have that plan ahead of time of what you're going to do if something happens. I think it's very important to do.
Well, I have a little kind of it's like a dumb question. Did they ever teach you anything about in your various like professional training, either in the military or police, so like how to deal with the fact that people will get knocked over because I was doing exactly what you described, and I was thinking like, what would I do? How would I avoid getting knocked over and stomped on? I've been at concerts where that almost happened. Like I've
Right.
been in the crowd at concerts where the whole crowd was just shifting, and I just focused on keeping my balance because if I fell down, I could have gotten. I don't think I would have gotten severely hurt, but I would have
Right.
gotten stepped on because it was
Right.
so. I was at one of the Lollapaloozas, and that was happening, and it was
Right.
scary.
Uh, well, as a cop, they taught us never run into the crowd. Just don't
Okay.
go into the crowd.
Just don't. Yeah.
You know.
So it's not. There's no
But
specific. Once you're in there, it's kind of hard to avoid it.
well, I've always been on the shorter side, and my mom, she's 5 feet tall, and I remember, I don't remember the specific example, but get near somebody bigger than you. If people
There's.
start stampeding, and pretty much press into them and hold on to them as they're making their way out because they're a lot stronger. They can kind of break the crowd and get out for you, and just stay close to somebody that's bigger than you, so you're not gonna, so you have somebody to stabilize yourself with,
There's a
you
good
know.
point, and just have somebody there in the first place. So like
Yeah, you
have a
shouldn't be
buddy
by
system.
yourself.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
And that's another really good point is, have a buddy system, and before you get there, you need to establish, if we get separated, here's where we're going to meet.
exactly.
At this point, and it's, if we get separated and you don't hear from me within a half hour, immediately go to this point in case I lost my phone, and if we don't report by this amount of time, you know, call this person at home to see if either one of us have checked in, or call the police or something wrong. Have a plan in place. And again, people might say sometimes, "Oh, Dennis, you're overreacting," but I'd rather be prepared and not have to use any of those plans that I put in place than to let chaos rule the day and not know what I'm going to do. Especially when it's somebody you care about that you get separated from. That's a scary thing. That's a really scary thing. So if you can have a plan in place, just set your threshold. If the riffraff starts happening, get out of there, go home. And not only that, I'm going to say just go online. Cyber Monday has some great deals online through
Yeah,
Amazon.
yeah. Just
You
don't
know,
even. It's like we're talking about like preparedness for a natural disaster or for a war,
I
and
know.
we're having to tell people this type of stuff for them to go shopping. Like
Right.
that's
Because they're going to go.
yeah,
People are going to go. And like I said, thanks to my wife's insight, I respect it. It's not me, but it's not for me, but I respect it. I do. If that's what you want to do. But I would recommend stay in your pajamas, get a big plate of leftover turkey and stuffing, and just shop online the whole weekend. And it'd be a lot better. But some people like to go out and to interact, and
yeah.
I
People
understand that.
people are going to take their risks that they want to take. It's like why
Right.
we. That's why it's better to. It's obviously better to abstain from
Hmm.
sex with strangers or from people you haven't gotten a test with together. But if you're going to do that, be safe about it. Or
Right.
even I linked an article about Narcan. Like, I don't think anybody should ever do intravenous drugs, especially heroin. I've known too many people that died. But if
Right.
you're going to do it, I hope somebody has some Narcan so you can get a second chance to get clean
Right.
rather than die.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think it's yeah. So I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with giving people advice. I'm not trying to make an analogy between shopping and doing those things. I'm just talking about
No,
risky.
it makes sense, Joel. No,
Yeah.
it was a
I'm
good
not
analogy.
demonizing shopping the same way those other things are. It's just that people do things.
But in the context of Black
Yeah,
Friday,
yeah,
I mean, those videos that they show
yeah,
you, especially at like Walmart,
yeah,
it's insane, dude. Like
yeah,
I get nervous just watching them. I'm not even there,
yeah.
So my hope is that this year, I really hope that we can just learn to get it right, or just do better than we've been doing as a society, and stop tolerating that stuff. Stop going to the stores where those riots are breaking out. I mean, that would send a major impact again. But as consumers, we're too needy, we're too greedy, and we're too selfish to say, you know what, I'm not going to go to that store for a year until they change their policy, because we're going to say, well, I really do need that, that TV or whatever it is, and I'm going to go, and that's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate.
Yeah, and
So
buy things from local places, or do what like you did, go to Joann's Fabrics. Like
go to
like
Joanne's Fabric, make stuff.
my girlfriend and I have come to this kind of agreement about this is because I mean I don't know if you want to call it stingy or cheap or frugal. I like to call it frugal, but I save money. Like, that's just what I do because my life has always been these unexpected events seem to come about, and in the past I wasn't prepared, or I had somebody else to like help me, like my parents, and now I don't have any parent. They can't help me. Neither of them have money to help me, and I don't have any other blood to rely on. And so she likes to spend because she thinks it's an act of love. So we've come to this agreement about birthdays and Christmas where if we can, we're gonna make things for people or
awesome.
for each other. And like that doesn't mean you can't go support the economy because maybe you need to go buy the things to make stuff with.
Right, you're absolutely right.
But you also get to explore like your skills. Like my girlfriend's very crafty. She makes things and I write things. So I tend to write stuff. Like I write poetry, so that's what I tend to do. Or I get a card and I write something that's actually like not just a generic, not just happy holidays, but I'll say something like I gave a couple cards to my manager and 2 bosses last Christmas. And I told them, I'm like, thank you.
And welcome back to Service of Change's Changecast, your podcast for change. Joel, I don't know what the heck happened, man. One minute we're in mid-conversation. Next thing I know, you dropped off. I tried to finish the show up and, try to be a real professional. And then all of a sudden, my whole computer just wiped out. Everything just went dead on me. So, like you said, maybe the corporations are coming after us for talking bad on their
Big Brother doesn't want us to cut into their sales.
I used to work for Big Brother, man. I thought he would have my back. Apparently not. So we're just gonna wrap up the show, so because we want to be able to edit this piece, any other piece. So if you listen to the podcast or on iTunes or through RSS or even on our website, it should seem pretty seamless. But for the people watching through YouTube, it's going to be in 2 parts. And obviously, if you're watching this part, thank you so much. You've made it to the second half. You like us that much that you wanted to see how the show ended, so I greatly appreciate it. So thank you very much. Joel, any final thoughts? I know we've kind of lost some of our momentum because it's been about 15 minutes, but any final thoughts on anything? Wish people a good holiday or whatever?
I mean, I think most people are going to put their family first anyway, but, think about if you're going to go shopping and participate either in Black Thursday or in some, shopping on Black Friday, try to think about other people's families,
And you know what, Joe, you bring up a good point, and I'm sitting here thinking, you and I get so focused on the message behind our show. Sometimes I think we overlooked something tonight, and I'd like to take a step back and just maybe put you on the spot, but in the spirit of Thanksgiving, what are you thankful for?
I'm thankful for breath and health and opportunity to provide for myself and my family. I'm thankful for my 2 cats, my dog, my girlfriend. I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for my daughter. I'm thankful for my daughter's mother. I could do a whole show for the things that I'm thankful for, but I think that gives a general spirit.
And I'm kind of sitting here, and I'm proud of the show we just did. I really am, and I'm kind of wish we would have done a show on thankfulness.
I actually thought that that's what we were gonna talk about that, but I have a mind that goes in various directions, and it just kind of slipped my mind.
You know what? I didn't even think about that. I'm really regretting not doing a show on on what we're thankful for Thanksgiving, or at least dedicating a significant portion of our show to that. I'm almost tempted to say, hey, let's. Nah, all right. Yeah, I guess. Man, that's a bummer, but I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think that this topic and what we were talking about before, I think you can connect them because the word thanks is related to the word think. Mm-hmm. So I think what we try to do is to get people to think, because without the awareness, there can be no action. So when you give thanks and you're thankful for things, you think about the things that you're thankful for. You think about other people's feelings. You think about their presence, and you recognize and you honor these other beings or other people's needs. So I think that they're connected.
Yeah, they are. I just, I'm very, I try very hard not to contribute to the negativity or fuel the fire. I know sometimes some of the things we talk about, there's no avoiding that.
Yeah,
I just hope that this show wasn't too, not controversial, not even in the word. It just fit in that profile of let's create controversy and conflict and get people fired up about stuff. I really hope that we are able to stick to that principle of spreading some positive ideas on. You don't have to fight any system. You just got to do something different. That's really where I'm trying to go with this. Is so many people are saying we got to stand up, we got to fight. It's a revolution, whatever it is, and it's not really. Just do something different. Like I said, if you don't like the concept of Black Friday, you don't like the concept of going out on Thursday, you don't have to fight anything. Just stay home. That's not, you know what I mean? I mean,
yeah.
it's that simple. So I don't know. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm feeling bad about not talking about what I'm thankful for, but I am very thankful for my
Well,
family. And go ahead.
no, I was going to say, well, my take from it, because I was aware of this cause, but you came to it first, and I think that it was kind of more of something that you care about,
Hmm.
possibly more than I do. But like listening to you, like what I got was that you have a genuine empathy for the people who can't be with their families. So, and I think that's going to shine through for our listeners. That's what I got from you. I didn't think that you were just
Thank
being
you.
that you were just provoking. Like I heard in your voice, like that passion. It's like this sucks for people, and then you connected it to your experience teaching with the students you have who only have one parent, and that parent
Right.
often in the inner city does. You're right, works in retail because it's a
Hmm.
service-based economy, and you're just your heart was there. You're thinking about that child, and a lot of people. And that's what I said. Like people are good about thinking about their family. I think in
Right.
America we're good about that's why Thanksgiving is so big, and that's why Christmas is big, is because we are good. I think for the most part, if the family's intact, we're
Hmm.
good. I mean, there's some work to be done in certain things, but for the most part, we have strong families when the family's present. But I
Hmm.
think sometimes we don't think about other people's families,
Yeah, you're right.
and I didn't see that as negative. I think that's take the love we have for the people closest to us, that we try to celebrate, that we live, we enact that love when we go to our families' houses and we share the meals and we share that day. Let's extend that to the other people's families, where there's people waiting in line with us. Like if you're going to be in line with somebody and something goes down, look out for each other. Be
Hmm.
neighborly. Don't be rude, and I don't think people should shop on Black Thursday, but if you have to, think about the people. At least try to be nice to the people that are working
That
there
are
that
pulling
day.
away from their families. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, yeah.
Joel, thanks for that. That makes me feel a lot better. I appreciate you putting it in that perspective, and then I hope that our listeners can take the same thing from it. I really appreciate that because I was starting to feel bad, man. I guess I get too sensitive sometimes. So let's go ahead and wrap up the show.
Yeah.
Before we do, I just would like to say that I am incredibly thankful for my beautiful family, for my wife, my children, and my extended family, my mother, my brother, and Casey, and then my in-laws. Everybody's great, man. I could go on and name all the people I'm thankful for, and certainly thankful for you and for all the hard work you put into to not just doing our show but the service of change. I know that you believe in what we're doing here, so I greatly appreciate that. So thank you for that as well.
Thank you.
So, and to our listeners, you are the reason why we do this. Why here we are at 10:45 at night doing two shows in a row this week, two nights in a row. Going to stay up late editing because we want to be consistently able to provide stuff to our listeners because we're thankful for you because we know that you guys are out there, making the real difference. So we'd love to hear from you. Tell us what you're thankful for, through our Facebook page, facebook.com/service of change, or hit me up on Twitter, Dennis Nappy II. That's Nappii. Are the ways to reach us. And again, you can get this podcast. This one's going to be in two parts on YouTube only. Everything else will be in one piece. But obviously, if you're listening to this piece, you already know that. But you can get us on iTunes. You can get us at serviceofchange.com. And you can get us through our RSS feed, which is also posted at serviceofchange.com. And don't forget to download the app. Click the link at the banner at the top and save that app to your home screen. You'll have it right there where you'll have access to everything. And I want to just give a heads up on some things that we have coming up. I'd also like to encourage you, please, if you haven't already, please consider purchasing my book, Service: A Soldier's Journey, Counterintelligence, Law Enforcement, and Violence for Urban Education. Those proceeds do go to our extremely low budget operation here at Service of Change. It's it's low budget, but it's not no budget. So every little bit helps, to support the show and stuff. And it's a great story. It's a great read for you. And what I'll be doing, attached to the link to this ChangeCast, I'm going to have for Thanksgiving through Cyber Monday, a $5 discount for my book, Service. But make sure you click the link in there because it's going to be to a site different than Amazon. I encourage you to check Amazon too because they run all sorts of deals they don't always tell me about. So you might even get a better deal on Amazon. I'm going to drop $5 off my book for the for that big holiday rush because for the soldier, the teacher, the police officer, or the family member who loves them, and it's a great gift for them. Or you can get it on Kindle for $2.99 as well. So all right, that's the end of my plugs. Joel, am I missing anything?
Nope. I just once again I read the book and I think it's worth it. Just if you're just a human being.
Thank you very much. And go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, if you love people and you want to learn about them and you care about people, there's so many compelling, human stories contained in that one large story of Dennis's book. So,
thank you. I appreciate it, Joel. Thank you so much. And so please check us next week, December 4th. We have a live show with my brother, Mike Nappy, the musician of nappymusic.com. Check out his website. Actually, on Black Friday, he is releasing a free Christmas album. He's a talented musician / producer, combines all sorts of different genres and musical elements. It won't be disappointing from the little bit he's let me hear. He has one that's a tribute to soldiers that are deployed. Well worth listening to from the little bit I heard so far. He really believes in what he's doing and brings a lot of passion to his music. So please check that out, nappymusic.com, and we will have him on here live. You can interact with him on December 4th at 9:15 p.m. right here. Look for the links at serviceofchange.com. That is all the time that we have. On behalf of Joel and myself, please have a happy, healthy, and safe Thanksgiving. Make good decisions. Enjoy your family. And thank you so much for listening to Service of Change's ChangeCast, where small changes among the masses can have a massive impact around the world. Be that change. Thank you.